All right, this is the finished lantern, and it's went through many processes. I've got a CNC machine, and I upped the number of kits that I could get to four. And these are all my different parts. I'm assembling 11 lanterns. So let's get with it. All right. So I took some of them old cedar boards from over here, and I planed most of them down. I still have a few on the very bottom that have been planed, but I planed most of them down. Then I cut them into 2 foot lengths on the resaw or the crosscut sled. And then I kind of looked at them for get the most out of the material. Got a couple little bad sections like that one in there that I'll probably end up not using a piece that's that wood. I'll make another one. I glued them up into 23, 24 inch wide. They're 24 inches by about 23 and a half or 24. So got another one over there, and those are glued up overnight. And inside the CNC is what we cut out yesterday. All right, I popped the top off of this, and as you can see, this is from it cutting out. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the light so I got a little light in there. This is all the material from cutting out. This is 4 lantern kits, and this is all of the stuff that's going on. So I'm going to run the shop vac on it and clean it up. And but all my parts for 4 lanterns are in there. Got a couple that are kind of rough. I've got a split. This one I didn't allow cure overnight, so I've got a little repair to do on the joints. But the sticks and the parts, generally I just cut 1, and I modified V-carve to cut 4. So took it about an hour and a half of all the cutting to do it, whereas that was an improvement in time by almost 50%. Doing it this way versus the other one. So I'm going to make like 12 lanterns with all customized. So I'm not doing any V-carving on these right now because it's big, and you know how V-carve is. Whenever you V-carve, if it's off a little bit, it doesn't come out good. So I'll do them last. All right, a quick cleanup with the dust deputy back there in the back. Filling up my 5-gallon can over there. When I'm CNCing, I'll probably have to clean that bucket out once a week, and it fills up. So anyway, CNC made it quick cleanup, 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes tops, vacuuming around the table. Again, nothing on the floor, nothing in the rest of the shop. All right, let's tell it to go away there, and we'll have a look at what all it's been doing here. At the very end of it, that's all the cutting that we can do on this side here. And again, when I was not doing the inlay, because we'll have to do a little bit of cleanup on some of these glue joints. Like this one here, I'll have to re-glue that one. And just because I had a weak glue joint out here at the end. But the rest of them, I'll clean them up. And let's go ahead and pull this thing out. I had it screwed on the 4 corners right here and that corner there. So that was actually enough to do the rough cutting on here. And again, it took an hour and 45 minutes or so to cut out. All right, this is the back inside. And I'm just going to pop them screws out of there and then move the gantry out of the way, and we'll pull the stock out. All right, we're going to pull these pieces out now. And most of them are just going to kind of lift out. And we'll do a little cleanup. They look a little rough, but that's my tabs. And that's the parts that's left over from the tabs. So, and then we're getting into the chunks that are still left and still tabbed in. Okay, let's just see what we can pull out here. And, hey, it's not too bad to pull out this stuff. Let's see, that's the second one back. Third one back. All these parts are interchangeable, so it doesn't really matter, what you have going on, other than wood might be real close to the same. But that one, they're little parts. I'll go ahead and clean them out. All right, that's all that's left of the scrap from that. All them pieces, I'll tell you what, if I'd have cut all that out on the table saw, all them parts, I'd have a whole lot more scrap than that. And of course, it'll take a little bit of cleanup on the sander, and once I do that real quick cleanup, they'll clean up really fast. All right, now that I've got this part cut out, there's my old wasteboard. I've just vacuumed the top of it off again, and there's all my parts over here. I'm going to load up the other one and get it to cutting while I'm working over here on the bandsaw. So here we go. All right, got this one fastened down. I use a self-tapping screw with a big head on it, and these are actually a self-tapering bit so that they'll cut down a little bit. Put some down to hold it down, then some around the outsides of it, and use some boards along the front and a couple cam actions in the front to hold it down. All right, we've got it all zeroed in. All my axes are zeroed in, and my height is set. I'm ready to load up that first program that's going to go around and drill all my holes and get it cut out. I've got a 1/4" end mill in there, and I'm going to fire this thing up. These parts with the tabs are pretty rough, and a little cleanup on the belt sander, and they come up pretty clean. All right, I'm going to clean this up on this edge. Just clean it up. I'll run all that batch through and just sand it all up. All right, we ran through about 35 minutes of working on that, and it's drilled all the holes. We'll put in the chamfer bit next, let it cut out, so that's 35 minutes. While I was doing that, I was over here sanding on this. I got most of them sanded. It took me about 30 minutes of sanding on these pieces. They're coming out nice. I mean, they look rough when you first get them, but after you sand them up and clean them up, they come out pretty nice looking. That cedar is just beautiful wood. And let's get that done. All right, we put in the 90-degree bit change. Going to run the chamfers on there and go around and do all the chamfering, cut around those tops, and that'll take it probably about 20 minutes. So we'll get back to that and finish sanding over here. All right, we got those all chamfered out and cleaned up, loaded up the cutout bit. It's going to cut the lines and the grooves. This one takes about an hour and a quarter or so. So right now, the last operation with the chamfering took about a little under about 12 minutes or so right in there. So right now at this point we have about 35, 45, about 50 some minutes. So we'll let this thing roll and see what we get out. I built this jig about 2 weeks ago, and I've got it where it's working really well. All right, now I'm going to just drill all the ends on these boards. I just got through drilling that one. I'm going to flip it over and drill the other side of it. All right, what I'm doing here with this jig is I'm cutting in a curve for when the drill comes down and it cuts the tenon on this, it causes these to split out down here on the, so this is kind of a stopper split. Just makes the work cleaner. And basically all I'm doing is just cutting a little bitty notch on all of these boards so that when it goes down, that it cuts it cleaner. So I'm just about done. All right, tenon jig. Basically, you just take the stock, you load it up in your jig, and this is where it comes in really handy whenever you have stock that's all the same thickness and it's all straight and you got all your jigs lined up straight. And so basically that puts it in there, that keeps it locked in there. So this will go down and go over the top of that. This will keep the split out going. I've got adjustment knobs in here so that if it's not perfect, you can put some paper in there and shim it out. But I've bought me a new planer today, and that thing it brings it down to a 64th of an inch. So my other one it wouldn't quite do that when you're doing fine work. So that's kind of a neat one. And we'll go ahead and drill this one out. It cleans it up right there at the tenon. That little bandsaw cut we just did keeps that from splintering. All right, checked up the other side of it. I already got my tenon cut down there. It's got a positive stop with sawdust that shoots it, keep it from flowing out. And you Turn off the saw and go to the next one. And there you have it. Tenons are clean and ready to assemble. Perfect. Alright, here's the next set. Looks like I have just one piece in here that's going to be trashed. But maybe one back there. But anyway, I'm making extra, so that's what happens there. Cedar is a wonderful wood, and it does take some work. Anyway, got the jig running over there, getting my parts all ready to go over here. Got all my spindles from that other kit all drilled and ready to go. CNC machines are wonderful. They'll just keep on cutting as long as you don't goof up. All right, this one, my tabs did last long enough to go through it. And anyway, that is my board. I didn't put any pieces in it to any screws around that top side this time. I did put the one in the left corner because I knew there wasn't anything there, but I didn't want to take any chances on the rest of it. So, but you can see through that. It looks like it's getting close to doing its thing, and do a little sanding, and up she'll come. All right, we got to put the groove in. I just finished putting this one in. I've got these little toggles that hold the thing in place, and it just cuts this groove in there on this piece here. And I hadn't put the grooves in there on this side over here yet. I had already put the tenons in. It doesn't really matter when you put the tenon on it. I always just put the groove to the right here, and then I center this up in the groove to about the best, and just snug it. Make sure it's just down in there, and drop it down in there. Drop the lid and press start. All right, I was taking these little guys right here and putting them in this jig, and it cuts the log out, cuts out the rubber man, and basically I just stick them down in there, use the popsicle sticks and shim it out in there like that. Put the popsicle sticks in there like that. Crank my little cranks just a little bit. She's in there where she won't move. Run my program, and about 5 minutes it's engraved, and that's the top of the lanterns. All right, there's enough for 11 lanterns, all cedar, and I pulled the coals, and these are all primo stuff, and yeah, nice stuff. Over here got the other 11 here, the parts. All I've got to do now is to put them in kit form and bend the handles, and we'll be ready, and drill in a couple holes in the top. All right, I'm now drilling the holes in the top here. There's a hole here and a hole right there, and that's where the bail goes in. And basically what I do is I drill it with a 1/8 inch long bit. I use a jig, and I put it in here like this with the drill on it. Put the face against the jig and hold it in there, and it drills this pilot hole in there at an angle, and it just about comes out on the bottom side, but I have it taped to where it just comes out. And then when I run this one through with my hand, by just holding it in my hand and drilling it, because it's got a pattern hole and it'll follow it if you're just paying attention, and it'll go right out, and then it'll cut a hole in the bottom side right here, and that way when the handle's getting grass or something in there, it'll just keep funneling it out, and yet it makes a sturdy, nice little handle. And that's one of 11. Okay, I just took the hammer, put that in a vise parallel with the bail handle, beat it with the handle, and then I just cut it off right here at this point right here, and then I'll do the same on the other side. Okay, I made a jig that forms these by using a couple bar clamps, and it pushes some plywood forms together, and it pops it together. And Anyway, so I've got all them on the jig. It has a place where you mark where the bend is, and I'm going to put this in the vise, bend the 90 degrees, and then cut them off, and away we'll go. Okay, I've got that piece, those bent with my spring action. I can pull them two together. They'll fit right inside those two holes that I just made for that in that deal right there, and then you got a perfect little bell handle that sticks up like so. And I thank these FCF guys for their donation on towards these lanterns. They make a donation to the district. Riverman got that for that, and Skeeter. I went through buckskin testing with him this last year, and there's one for Pike, otherwise known as Slice, and got the FCF lantern there, and there are all the parts ready to come together. All right, it's amazing what happens when you throw a little clear finish on cedar. It just pops. I mean, it just jumps out there and gets with it. This is the coal. I used all the coal pieces for my lantern, and I also experimented on my lantern. But anyway, it still came out beautiful. And there it is. There, it's drying. I just now put a coat of finish on it. This is what cedar looks like with no finish. And you know, these are here's your carved emblem in it. Of course, you know, plain it doesn't really show up, but once you throw a little finish on it, it jumps. So there you go, it jumps out at you. And you know, I got this piece in here just drying up. And of course, I'll put the glass in there, and there's my 4 panes of glass, and we'll put it together and see what happens here. So open up the door so I get a little fresh air. All right, winter months, sometimes you got to use the little infrared heater, which is a great tip for using around painting pine derby cars. If you get one of these infrared heaters, your paint curing time will be like cut it in half. And I've got a little bit of this. I always use this little heater out in front of where I'm standing there, so because it just warms off the rest of the garage. It's gonna be cold, but the infrared heat puts it out, and that's only running 750 watts, so it does twice that heat, but it'll dry that lacquer up, and we'll have a finished product here in just a minute or two. One thing about these logs that come off this for these lanterns, they were harvested off the Rural Ranger campground. They were up there and took them home and cut them into 3 foot, 4 foot long logs, and then turned them into lumber. All right, there you have it. This is unfinished cedar, and that's with just one coat of clear lacquer. It's just a clear finish, and I mean, it was fast. It took me a couple minutes. Just took it all apart, sprayed it, and shot it in there. But there's your candle holder. It's got the baling. You pick it up. It's got a little stainless steel candle thing down in there, so when the candle burns down, it doesn't burn the wood. I also have those in copper. And then this one has got the name and the logo burn in on it. And this was the worst kit in the whole group, and I put my name on it. It's Grin, and that's my FCF name. And there it is, running and going to van, beat the band. And I have a whole plethora of them over there. All you got to do is order it. And no, it's I've made 11 of them. I think I'll be good for a little while. But this this thing right here, you can hang this off a nail in the wall and just leave it hanging. It'll hang like right that way, and it'll settle down, and it'll hang vertically off of a nail on the wall. So it's pretty sweet. The pegs come out real easy. You don't have to spend any time taking them apart. They just slide in and out. When you first put them together, you dab a little bit of wax on them, because I've made them to where they're a little bit looser. I don't like to fight those things coming in and out. Anyway, the glass all fits in without sanding, and this is the roughest kit of them, and it's still beautiful. And it's a Merry Christmas kind of a deal for a little donation to the district. Thank you. Bye.